Welcome to another edition of the Sports Show. I'm Mdad, your host for today. Now, during this special month of Ramadan, we're still searching for inspirational stories and inspirational exploits, marvelous and extraordinary feats of endurance and motivation, not only locally but also nationally. And we obviously have quite a few cases that have actually come to global attention as well. Now, a subject which I've been interested in myself personally for good 5 to 6 years has been cycling. Now, for those of us who know and we follow the local sports scene quite closely, we are aware that there's been a cycling phenomenon within our communities in recent years. So whichever country you're from, whichever nationality, your background, it doesn't matter. We've seen a surge in people taking up cycling. Now, over the course of the last month to 6 weeks to 8 weeks, we had a group of riders, all local from around the East London area. I'm sure there were a few from outside as well, and my guests will correct me and talk about it if needs be as well. But they formed part of the Hope and Knowledge Cycle Group. Now, what they did was they actually travelled from London to Makkah, where they performed the Umrah. What an extraordinary experience that must have been. And then that wasn't the end of it as well. Each and every cyclist, approximately 40, including a few extras in terms of management and support staff available, they undertook the journey of a lifetime, which involved the cohort of riders, after completing their Umrah in Makkah, travelling by cycle from Makkah to Madinah. And what we are going to do today on the Sports Show is to talk about this extraordinary journey and this absolutely fantastic experience. So I've got 4 guests here with me today. Welcome, brothers, guys, welcome to the Sports Show. And what I want to do is to get into it pretty much straight away. So Sadiq, who's sitting on my right, Abdullah Awal, who's sitting right next to me here, we've got Mizan here, we've got Suleiman here as well. These are 4 of the group members, which have been handpicked actually by myself, from the stable of riders, from the cohort of riders, to come here and join us and to bless the Sports Show here with their presence here. And what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about their experience. So starting with you, Sadiq, we want to get into the interview pretty much straight away. What was your motivation for joining the Hijrah ride?
To be fair, in terms of cycling, I've only been cycling for a couple of years, and when I heard about the ride in itself and what it involves, it was a huge inspiration to be able to travel, to do the Umrah, and then to travel from Makkah to Medina in a group over 3 days to cycle was in itself an inspiration, along with raising money for a worthy cause for Gaza, which was a huge inspiration. And my children, who are quite young, it's something for them to look up to, for me to be able to say, look, this is what I've done, and for them to look up to.
Awesome. And your motivations?
I think I've been running for a number of years with HKCC Cycle Club as well, and I've seen them start the Hijrah ride back 4 years ago, and I've also had friends going last. I've just been interested in it, and it's just kind of like, I want to do it. One day I'm going to do it, and the opportunity came along, and everything at home, at work, and kind of like with my cycling kind of fell in place. And I thought, just take the plunge and Bismillah, and applied for it just before Ramadan last year, and then I got accepted during Ramadan, alhamdulillah, and that was it really.
Great stuff. And Mizan, out of your catalogue of reasons for motivations for joining this special trip, maybe you can tell us a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, similar to what Sadiq and Abdullah has said, but I think, I mean, in terms of the charity side, you know, I pretty much echo what they've said in terms of, you know, wanting to do this. It's with the brotherhood, whatnot. You got the children who will be looking at you and, you know, looking up to you as a father to go out there and do this. But I think a big part of this is actually the charity. You know, the charity and, you know, what's been going on for the last couple of years, just under a couple of years, and where this money is going to, is going directly to Gaza. And I think us living in this privileged country, you know, we've got to do what we can do, you know? I'm sure all of us deep down, we know we'll be questioned one day, what did you do? I'm hoping, you know, something like this was just a small, it's still very, very tiny. On the grand scheme of things, very, very tiny, but I'm hoping something like this would be something we could have contributed to. So I
Brilliant.
think, yeah, mainly it's the charity side of things.
Brilliant. And Suleiman, your motivations and your inspiration for taking part?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done various sort of charitable work before in past. I've run the London Marathon and I did it for a charity. So when, actually it was Awal, Abdul Awal that signed up before me. And I saw the clip and I sort of thought about this as soon as I looked at it, and I thought, this is the highest of the charitable work I can ever do. Firstly, going to the most holiest place, and it was my first time as well to Makkah. So that was inspirational, and I have not done road cycling. So I had to go and, think about this, but immediately I put my name down. I thought, if I'm getting accepted, I'm going to do this. It's once in a lifetime. So that was it. And the charity just adds to it, because I've done a lot of charity work for other, when it's all about Gaza, what's happening, as Ms. mentioned, it was that sort of put the two together, and the Umrah on top of it. So
Because I remember your excitement. I was one of the first people you came and approached as soon as you signed up. And I could see the excitement and the beam on his face. He said, I've just signed up. And he goes, Ems, you're going to join me on this? And unfortunately, I couldn't, because I'm restricted to travel because of the nature of my job when I could do it. But I could see the excitement when you signed up. I could also sense a little bit of nerves there as well, because it's a huge, we will get into this during the course of this show here today. But I could also sense, it was a mixture of excitement at the same time, a little bit of trepidation, a little bit of nerves, but above all that, you had the self-belief there, which I'm sure goes with everybody. They say, I'm going to do this. I'm doing it for the right reasons. I will get the help that I need, whether it's from my group or from our higher powers or from God himself as well. I will get the support that I need to complete this trek as well. Now, going back to Sadiq, you said that you've been riding for us, so you're not a seasoned rider, as we see some of these. Were you nervous after signing up?
Of course. I mean, the first day we done over 100 miles, and that's the first time I've ever done a century. So there was a lot of nerves, there's a lot of excitement, but I think here we got to give a lot of credit to the cycling club, because they actually had a plan of how to train you up. There was weekly rides, and they're slowly building you up to the ride. And like you said, there was nerves, there was excitement, and it's only when you get there you realise how difficult it must have been to get it all ready. And when you're on the saddle and you start riding, I think the adrenaline sort of like gets you through most of it.
So tell us about your preparation. So you had, give or take, I think from sign up to actually travelling to Makkah, you had about a year. Not everybody did that, because some people got approved later on. Some people probably had 6 months or a few months to get into training as well. So in terms of your interaction with Hope and Knowledge, how was it? Did you have a training program in place, or did you have to implement something yourself? Because obviously you have to have a fair level of fitness to participate, because you wouldn't be doing yourself justice, your cause justice. And obviously the charity would probably say, look, with all the best will in the world, we can't take you simply because we don't think that it will be good for your health to do so. So tell us about your preparations.
They look at application when you first make it through online application, and then they have a phone call conversation with you about your level of cycling, your level of fitness. If you cycled with them, they know about you a bit more as well, which helps. But there's also, as the guys have been saying, on the charity side, so you got to start collecting your minimum donation. Everyone, I think, overachieved what they were raising for, minimum amount and so forth, alhamdulillah. And I think it was over 250,000 that we've raised combined for just this year alone. So alhamdulillah, we've raised a decent amount compared to other years. But 236, okay. But the other side of it was the training, in which we were encouraged to keep cycling regularly. HNK cycle every Saturday mornings, so we encouraged to join them. But the training plan, specific plan for Hijrah ride, started in, I think, end of November, beginning of December, where they had a good 6-week training plan, where they start off with short miles of around 35 miles and decent elevation, and then slowly build up to the final ride, which is the week before we fly out, which was 100 miles to Luton and back, in the ice cold and rain and everything you can think of. But it also helps you to train, but also understand your bike a bit more, understand what sort of energy you need, and so on and so forth. So that sort of training, it's not just the cycling, but it's everything around it, to understand the group, but understand yourself as well, because you need to learn a lot about you when you're out on the road cycling, just to make sure if you need to take more energy, if you kind of need to take more water, if you need to slow down, if you need to speed up, so you can understand a bit more, and that training helps.
Sounds like a lot of dedication. Now, coming on to you, Mizan, obviously from what Abdullah has just described here, it's pretty regimental. Yeah. The charity takes the welfare of the cyclists very, very seriously, very importantly. And what they've done is they've gone out above and beyond in order to try to the best of their ability to ensure that some people have reached a decent level of fitness, so they can do actually justice. So what would a typical, I'm sure it's not just, although you could be cycling doing a training cycling run for a good few hours, it takes the best part of a Saturday, for example, for you to do that as well. What would a normal training day look like for you? So when you wake up, and until you finish, and then your recovery on the Sunday, because
So it was actually a 10-week. Abdullah said it was 6 weeks. It was actually a 10-week training program. So so typically what we're looking at, I mean, I think it's 9 o'clock, right, boys? It was 9, wasn't it?
And the last couple was 8.
So it's a 9 o'clock meet up. More often than not, it was actually in Valentine's Park. So we'll meet up at 9 o'clock. We'll have a quick little brief and set off. So obviously the shorter ones, we're probably back in about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. But as the training progressed and we started hitting the 60, 70 mile ones, which was where it started getting a bit more serious. So not only was the distance getting a bit serious, but the weather was also getting serious. As we're getting closer and closer towards January and then, December into January, it was tough, man. It was really, really tough. Yeah, it was.
One day was -3.
Yeah, there was one day where we set off -3.
It was 85 miles.
Yeah, that's it was -3 as well.
Yeah.
Still -3.
And it was just like, so to do that and, to kind of prepare for it. Obviously, a lot of this was for endurance and whatnot. But I still question myself all the way to the 10th, training ride. I just think to myself, like, how is this going to benefit us when we're out there? Yeah. We're out there in 30 degrees heat.
And
here, this is a 35-degree drop.
Yes.
We're almost like -4, -5 here, and we're up there in 30 degrees. But you know what, subhanAllah, I've got to say, it was amazing. Like, their training really, really, I mean, it's obviously very, very well thought, very well planned, because the way they gradually got us up to where it is, because you've got to remember, some of us have been cycling for 3-4 years, some of us, I've been cycling for about 5 years, but some brothers, they haven't cycled at all, so this is their first time they're doing this. So for them to go from a 35 mile all the way to 100 miles in that 10 weeks, right, number one, and then a week later we get out there, and then we're doing 100 miles back-to-back 3 days. Bro, it's not easy.
So I've got a confession to make to you boys here as well. Sol cheated a little bit in the run-up to the training. Because what he did was he enlisted the expertise of a conditioning coach. That's Sir Mukhlisur Rahman of Barking and Dagenham. So if he hasn't admitted that to you as well, if you saw a sudden spike in his performances during the Hijrah ride, I am now confessing live on air that this is what Sol done. So he enlisted the expertise of Sir Mukhlisur Rahman of Barking and Dagenham. But you, Sol, two-pronged again.
He was in Luton with us.
He was in Luton with you as well. But he was not only there to participate on that as well. He also had his clipboard ready. He was monitoring Sol. So a little bit about your training, but what I want to specifically ask you, Sol, is we've talked about the rigors and the the physical side of preparing for this. What about the mental side? Tell me about the mental side, because we know as people who are engaged in sports more or less 7 days a week, and we have been for many, many years in different disciplines and different sports as well. The mental side is very, very important. Did you have to get yourself into a mental zone to help you prepare? So not only were you preparing physically, but also mentally at the same time?
Yeah, I think definitely, because, the thought of the back-to-back, cycling everyone can do. All of us can do 10-mile move, maybe 5 miles, half an hour, 2 hour. But when you think about it, the back-to-back 100 miles, it's just mind-blowing. So I think, the training that we did probably mentally prepares you, because one of the first things I was taught was be prepared for 30 miles in one go, because that's how you will be doing a Hijrah as well. So to do the 30 mile in one go, which is roughly about 2 hours non-stop, and that's the key, I think. You know, if you can maintain yourself to do 2 hours non-stop cycling, there's a good chance that you can complete the full length, because 2 hours your body can take that energy. Whatever you've eaten will burn through. The 2 hours later, it's refuel, water, hydrate yourself, and that's the key. And I think mentally, initially it was mind-blowing. I said, I don't know how I'm going to get there. But as we all sort of started that 10 weeks journey and we got closer and closer, I think most of us, you know, with the group that we started forming, and by the way, I didn't know majority of these brothers. Yes. You know, I knew a few of them. I knew Sadiq used to play football, but I don't know them personally. Abdullah was in my area. I didn't know any of them. I hardly...
Still don't know you.
Yeah, I still don't know you. So a lot of us didn't know each other.
So we get it. You haven't got any friends.
No. I took that journey. I took that journey on because I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do something, I might as well make new friends. Yeah. And I think that group that we formed in that last sort of 10 weeks, some of us were cycling with her. And obviously, you mentioned about Mokhlisur. He actually was immensely helpful to me. Not only did he help me with my bikes, he would actually train with me. And I couldn't understand the guy. You know, that's how humble he is, you know, to help me.
And his enthusiasm.
He's so enthusiastic, more than me, you know, that he would ride with me, wait for me, take me to the end, you know, and, you know, help me.
And that's one thing. During the winter season, I don't think I'll ever want to get on a bike again. You're wearing layers, layers upon layers, and then you're getting on the bike, you're freezing, and to come out and to do that for him was...
So I mean, Mokhlisur enjoys cycling, first of all, and he mentioned that. But to actually come out every Saturday, and come at 8 a.m. and 8:30 in the morning, and wearing you know, is more dedicated than us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, you know, he had a lot of belief in me.
Yeah.
And I've said to him, I don't know, you know, I'm going to get to the end. And he goes, no, you are going to do this, because, you know, obviously you've got to have a little bit of fitness to start off. But if not, I mean, there are a lot of brothers on the journey that had zero cycling. But we had another, so, and these brothers have gone up there. So to answer your question, mentally, you know, it is something that you really have to get over it. I know my cousin brothers thought about it, but they just gave up. They just said no.
Just the thought.
Yeah. Just
when you actually start processing it, that's when you get the people dropping out.
Tariq, my brother Tariq said he will never do this. You know Tariq.
Yeah, of course.
You know, the truth is though, right? You know, of course it is. It's a very daunting task, isn't it? But the truth is, if you actually do the 10 weeks, if you do the 10 weeks training, I tell you what, you are actually prepared to go and do that.
You're
100%.
You're ready.
Because they've picked 10 weeks for a reason, not 6 weeks.
Yes.
They haven't picked 16 weeks. They've picked 10 weeks because they know that within those 10 weeks, as long as you do those miles, it is sufficient, and you are actually ready to take on that journey.
Some of the brothers done a few extra. I think Saul was going to Regent's Park and doing some rounds, and I mean some of us were doing indoor training.
Yeah, we've done some indoor
training.
Because
the weather was so bad and so cold, we've done a bit of indoor training, but just to top up the training.
I would say, I would add to that, you know, after doing like 70 or 80 miles, just to prepare myself, the next morning I'll get up and do another 5 or 10 miles speeding, just to see how my body reacts. Because I was so nervous doing the 100 to 100 miles. Because
that was it though. I mean, the whole back-to-back was, I think, psychologically, a lot of us riders who haven't done it, it's that psychological thing about it. And I think one thing that happened, I always kind of laugh about it, is we started our ride around 2 o'clock in the morning, or we went downstairs around 10, 11 o'clock at night. We're all supposed to be asleep, and no one's messaging on the WhatsApp group. All of a sudden, one person sent a message, and everyone started messaging, because actually no one was sleeping, everyone was nervous, but no one was messaging on the group thinking everyone else was asleep. And then all of a sudden, ping, 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 everyone's awake.
Everybody's awake.
As soon as you start pedaling, it all goes away. You forget everything. You start riding anywhere else. It's just, that's it. You just started riding and that's it. Boom. Get on with it.
That's really interesting. Mizan, just going back to you now. When it hit home that this is really happening, you know, we were talking about the cycle. The first thing is HK make an announcement. We are going to take on 40 riders for the Hijrah ride. So you get a flurry of 1 million people who apply. We know how the drill works. And then the applications come in, then they filter through them and they pick their crack squad of 40. And then you realize oh my goodness, I've actually made the cut. What are your thoughts then? Because I know a lot of people who might even make the cut and then they just sit down, they scratch their head and they say, actually, I'm not ready for this. Because you know what we were just asking Sol about, the mental side of it. When they actually sit down and they think it through and they think, I can't do this for 3 days. His brother is one of the greatest football players our community has produced. And even he's talking to his big brother, so and he's saying, I would never do that. I couldn't do that. So you see, even celebrating sports people, I think it just has, you know, I know my limitations. I'm not going to do it. Now you've signed up. I know some people who just put in for a joke. Some people who just put in, well, let me just put in, you know, like they do with the marathon. Just put in, it's a ballot there. And then you get approved and then it hits home. At that moment, what were your thoughts?
It's nerves, isn't it? Mainly it's nerves. I think, you know with us, so myself, Sadiq, and there's two of our other very, very close friends, Akhtar and Ruhal. So us four, we decided last year that this year we're going to apply. So we kind of said, like, listen, if we all get accepted, Bismillah, we're going to go for it. So I think we kind of helped each other with the nerves, the expectation, you know, just even the motivation and everything. We were like, you know, we've got a bigger group, then we've got a group with just us four in it. Yeah. You know, because we needed that. So I actually don't know how I would have reacted if I was just on my own, like the way Sol has, or the way Abdul Awal has. Honestly, I couldn't tell you, but even with me and three of my best mates, I'm not even joking, we were still nervous. Like, you know, when the message came through, I remember Sadiq, he goes, did you get an email? What email? So, you know, these things are like, and eventually when the email did come through, and then it was a case of, all right, we now need to obviously complete this application, submit it with all our details, the rest of the more detail, the further details, and then obviously when we did do it, it was like a massive relief, and I was like, subhanallah, you know what, this is happening. So then we kind of forget about it, and then the training starts, then we kind of forget about it, then we obviously set on that journey. We were told when we were out there, look, we're here in Makkah now, forget about the ride, do your ibadah, concentrate on your prayers, etc., enjoy it, rest up. And on the fourth day, we are gonna, you know, I'll be honest with you, that day, the day they done the kit release, boys, the day they done the kit release, that kit release day was probably the most.
So you had a kit release day?
Yeah, with the journey, with the whole.
Did you have was it like Jagannath Football Club?
Not exactly, no.
Okay. So Bokul Bhai would be very disappointed in you guys.
There was a little briefing we had about the expectations of the ride and then what to expect, the break points.
It's quite conservative.
Yeah, it was.
We were in Makkah, so we had to...
No, I think when they put the map up, and we were looking at the
map up.
That's exactly how much, what the elevation is and whatnot. And they were talking about last year's ride and the year before, and the wind and the crosswind and, you know, all sorts. And then obviously after that, they done the release of the kit, because no one had seen the kit until then. And I think it's then that we realised, whoa, like, this is actually happening in a day's time. We need to now start preparing. And I'll be honest with you, bro, that day I was seriously nervous. I remember asking Shams by the main brother, well, one of the main brothers. And I said to him, SB, is it normal? Is it normal for me to feel this nervous? He goes, bro, listen, everyone's nervous. He goes, jump on the saddle, right? When you're ready, when you're going to jump on the saddle in 2 days' time, after 5 minutes, tell me if you're nervous or not.
If you're nervous or not.
But wallahi, I'm not joking. As soon as we jumped on the saddle and we headed out, bro, I don't know where these nerves were gone. I don't know where they were, man. They were gone.
Because Sol was keeping us updated throughout. In our WhatsApp group, he was keeping us updated. So we almost felt like we were with you guys on the journey, because he was sending us regular updates, pictures, videos, and just voice note updates of where you guys were headed. Just before we move on to fast forward to Saudi Arabia, I want to ask each of you, starting with Sol, just very briefly, I want to ask you, because this is important. What were the thoughts of your family? Because this was not just any old kind of sports endurance journey. What were the thoughts and sentiments of your family before you left?
I mean, the words I was used, crazy.
Yeah.
Nutter.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. Nobody sort of, and I'll tell you what, ask my brother Tariq, they had a bet within the family.
Tell me about it. I'm talking to him.
Yeah, they had a bet within the family that I'm not going to do this.
He's not going to make it.
He's not going to make it. There was amongst themselves within the family. There was a private session. So that let's have a bet who he makes it or not. So obviously, you know, I've done crazy stuff before, like marathon. You know, not a marathon. I'm not a runner, so I've done the odd things here and there. And I thought, you know what? Every age gap that goes up, you know, as we're getting older, you know, your legs are gonna go, or your feet are gonna go. So you need to go. So this was probably the ultimate. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna put my name down. But most of my family, well, I'm absolutely nuts because I don't even do 20, 30 miles cycling. So, but so you know, obviously, some of my friends, closest friends, believed. Most of my friends believed I would do it, including, you know, all the groups.
So what Saul doesn't know is he's thinking to himself that maybe big money was staked against him. It was just a packet of Mr. Kipling cakes that was there. So it was again, Sadiq, your family sentiments. You know, you're going.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a slight medical condition. I've got a bicuspid aortic valve, which is got a bit of leakage in it. So there was a medical concern, which I got all cleared for. But my mum was quite worried in terms of the endurance part, you know, the back to back. I've never done that. Never ridden back to back. I mean, riding in London, whenever we've done a national ride, we've done a ride, the next day you're in absolute agony. Yeah. So my thoughts were, how am I going to be able to get back on a bike after doing one day's ride? But generally, apart from the natural fear and, you know, being able riding, going in another country and riding, there was excitement. So it was okay. It was a mixture of both, I think, excitement and a little worried about my health and stuff. Right. But alhamdulillah, it was okay.
And this fine specimen here, what your thoughts of your?
I think my family were fine. You know, they were okay with it.
They wanted him out.
They're celebrating. They're celebrating.
Can you go for longer? No, I think one of the things was they were okay with like the cycling part of it. I think they knew that the training and so on and so forth, because they, you know, I've done a few rides, the odd national rides with HNK and so forth. So that was okay. So they know, you know, you get the training is fine. I think it was more worry about going to another country, cycling for 3 days on the trot, and it's more that side of things, the safety side of things. My mum, as soon as she heard it, she's like, yeah, go. It's like, you know, alhamdulillah, you know. And I think everyone was really excited. It got people that I don't always speak to family-wise and long distance to kind of communicate with me, because they were so excited. And they were kind of like, it was amazing how many people glued on to just keep updates on how we're doing and what we're not, and just asking how we're doing and so forth. And even like the donation links and so forth. And big shout to Mumtada Aid, who are the charity partner who's actually leading this as well from the charity side. They were helping to kind of do the publicity side of things as well. And other family members picked up on their social media pages that it was me, I was there, and they were messaging me and so forth. So the motivation was there, and the family, close family, were obviously worried or nervous, but alhamdulillah, I think they were okay because they've seen it happen before now. They've seen Hijrah Ride happen a number of years in a row. They've seen how, you know, it's like a well-oiled machine, how you know, all the brothers get involved and make sure everything goes to as planned as much as possible. And the rest is up to Allah, innit? At the end of the day, you can't really do much more than that.
And yourself, Mizan, did they push you out through the door?
Not quite. I think parents were quite nervous, actually.
Yeah.
My mum was quite nervous.
Yeah, obviously.
But the thing was, the last 3 rides that have happened, the last 3 Hijrah rides, there's been one of my family member at least in each of those. So my uncle done it on the, yeah, well, actually, they're all my uncles, yeah. They've all done it between, there's 4 of them done it between 3 of the years, and then I done it on the 4th year. So I think that may have slightly just eased them. I said, look, you know what, they've done it, and alhamdulillah, it's okay, it's pretty safe, whatever. In terms of my wife, alhamdulillah, very, very supportive. You know, she was really pushing, like, you know what, you should do this, and she actually pushed me more with the fundraising as well. Yeah. I was quite lazy with it, actually, but yeah, so, but yeah, alhamdulillah.
Brilliant. Right, so we're going to fast forward the travelling. So training's done now. Everybody, did you guys all travel together?
Yeah.
In one go. So people weren't going separately. You travel. That's good. It's always good to have that Jama'ah effect, isn't it? Everybody travels together, that unity as well. So you arrive in Saudi Arabia, you get to your hotel in Makkah. Can you describe your feelings when you actually went to do your Umrah and you spotted the Kaaba?
I think for me, it was slightly different because it was my first time. And, you know, when I sort of even, you know, looked at the thing, it was, subhanAllah, you know, it's something that I can't even describe how I felt. It's something beautiful and something that's, it's indescribable because it's within yourself, the beauty of it, you know, and gives you so much happiness and, you know, strength to see that in that position time. And then to do the Umrah with these brothers, first of all, you know, having the brothers around you and us all doing the Umrah together, that's another journey, I think, you know, that's it's above all. That was, the first 3 days was something amazing, I'm telling you, because we all kind of became a family, friends, we were, you know, all eating together, going out places, jumping around, wherever, and doing our ibadah, you know, and doing our ibadah together every day, Fajr every day, doing all the namaz. So that in itself was a journey, and the bonding, I think that bonded us together. You know, we put the Hijrah ride to a side because we were all concentrating, focused on our Umrah. And that's one thing the charity and the organizer HK actually immediately stated, that let's forget about the ride. Let's focus on our Umrah. Let's get this, you know, out of the way. We'll talk about this the day we start. And I think that gives us a lot of comfort and preparation for the journey. I think it does, because Umrah definitely settles you down.
And mentally, sort of frees you to not worry about the ride. And you go in and you know, like Mizan mentioned, there's myself, Mizan, Ruha and Akhtar, we're very close friends. So to be able to do Umrah with your close friends in itself is quite special. And then there's all these other brothers, and to do Umrah together was in itself a special moment. Special. And then being able to stay there, not thinking about the ride, going praying together, living together, it just, the bond between the whole group becomes so much stronger, and it's a lovely brotherhood what they've created.
So I don't know what, just on the basis of what these two boys have mentioned, the fact that you got to do Umrah first, it got you into the mind zone. Tell us a little bit about that, because there's so many benefits, we know, but maybe you can tell us, just doing the Umrah and then spending some time in Makkah. You know, some people really miss their families. You know, not everybody's the same. Some people immediately start missing their families. We've been on journeys together where people have suddenly just started to behave abnormally because they get homesick. So tell us a little bit more about the effect of just doing that Umrah, focusing on your worship and settling down before the event.
I think one of the things I would say is that there wasn't much time to even think about missing home and so forth. Yes, we did our video calls to family, missing the kids and so on and so forth, but homesick specifically, I think it was very difficult to even get to that because it was things were fast paced, and we knew the ride was coming up, so we needed to kind of just relax and rest and do our ibadah. But one of the key things for me, I haven't been for around 12 years to Umrah, so it was for me like it's been a long time, and I'm missing it. So when I signed up, the biggest bonus was that I'm able to do Umrah as well, which is really, really important. Yes, we've got the charity side, which is vastly important. Yes, we've got the bike ride, really fun and really exciting, really kind of, you know, a personal challenge. But doing that Umrah, and that I haven't done for a very long time, and obviously Solomon hasn't done it before, you know, it's an opportunity to kind of reset your spirits and your mind, and just before Ramadan as well, you know, it's just like the timing couldn't be better. You know, Ramadan's only 4 weeks after we come back, so to be able to go and do Umrah, go and see the house of Allah, give us salam to our Prophet, and you know, just as they said, you know, be with people that I didn't know majority of the brothers. I knew Mizan. We spoke about it last Ramadan. We met at the mosque, and he's like, "Oh, I'm doing it. You're doing it." It's like, and then you know, we kept in touch on and off. But it's when you get there and when you see the Kaaba from a distance, the masjid from a distance, and then you start walking up, and then when you can see the little edge of it when you're peeking through, and it's like, then you know, I'm doing Umrah, and then you just walk around and it's there and it's all glory, and then you know, you start doing, and everything just takes over in terms of emotions, your du'as. Sometimes you're looking at the Kaaba so much that you forget about doing ibadah, it's du'as. It's just because it's just so mesmerizing. So it's just about, there is that whole homesick vibe at the end, I think, Afterwards, once you get there, you've done the ride and everything, you want to get home as soon as possible. But before that, it's you know, Umrah, then the ride, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think it was an experience in that respect.
Brilliant. Mizan, we're moving forward now with our journey of a lifetime. So you're now looking at the eve of your magnificent cycling expedition. I call it an expedition because that's what it really is. You know, it's an endurance ride, but it's an expedition because of all the other elements involved. Talk us through those final hours, the nerves, the emotions just before you guys have set off, because that's the most difficult. It's almost like playing in the FA Cup final. You know, the night before nobody can go to sleep. People are stuck in the toilet because they can't clear their bowels out. You know, everybody has different rituals, don't they, to cope with it. Some people going out for a walk. You know, you see Paul Gascoigne doing all these kind of antics before. So talk us through the sentiment of yourselves and anything that you would have spotted amongst your teammates as well in the run up to those last few hours before you actually set off.
I think the night before, if we're going to talk about cup finals, I'd like to say it's a World Cup final.
World Cup final.
Definitely, yeah. The nerves were of a World Cup final rather than an FA Cup final. I don't know, one of the brothers mentioned something about none of us sleeping. I think it was Abdullah Wal, he said we weren't sleeping.
So tell us about that.
Zero. I personally had zero sleep, not even a minute. And that was purely, no whatever, that was purely down to nerves. We done our tawaf, our Bidayah tawaf, and we came back to the room, I think for about 8 o'clock or something. It was me and Sadiq.
Yeah.
We came back for about 8-ish. And we had it all planned out. Yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to get the stuff out. We're going to leave it here, pack everything done in bed by 9 o'clock or 9:30, whatever it was. Bro, 9:30 becomes 10:30, becomes 11:30. Before you know it, well, like, damn, this is hitting midnight. So I'm like, what's going on? Like, honestly, I just could not sleep. And I was trying, but it just wasn't happening. And I think around 1 o'clock or something, I must have got up, went to the bathroom. I wake up and I see Actor's still awake. Sid is still kind of awake, but slightly nodding off. Ruha was asleep, but Ruha wasn't cycling that day because of his thumb. So me and Actor, we just jumped out and we went to the haram and we just went and sat there for about an hour. Just done some nafil salah. And to be honest, we found the most peace there, you know.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden I got there and I wasn't forcing myself to go to sleep anymore. I thought, you know what, it is what it is. If I'm not going to sleep, I'm not going to sleep. But at least I'm here.
Yeah.
And it was just, bro, it was so tranquil, honestly. Wallahi, it was so tranquil. And like me and we just sat there, we were lying down. We were lying down on the rolled up carpet. And we just sat there and we were just chatting for a bit. And then, you know, we were just reflecting, done a bit of dua and whatnot. And then we realised at the time, we thought, okay, it's time to go. And that's when we offered on the group, boys, anyone want tea?
Yeah.
So a couple of the brothers,
Suddenly you got a flurry, yeah?
Yeah, so some of the brothers like, yeah, bro, you know, our prayers have been answered, all sorts, this, that, yeah. So we took some tea and we went back to the hotel. And that was it, really. I mean, we just had to get changed and go downstairs. And then when we went downstairs, there was some media commitment and photos and interviews and whatnot. They had to do the briefing. And then after that, I think we set off around, what, 3:30-ish? 3:30.
This is AM.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
2 a.m.
So we were meeting up at 2 a.m. But most days we weren't going to sleep till about 1 o'clock. So what made us think we're going to go to sleep that day, the night before? I don't know, man. But you know what it was? I think it was very nervous for me because I fell off my bike a couple of years ago.
Sure.
And that was down to me not sleeping much. It wasn't a national ride, but it was one of the bigger rides on the training. And I fell off and hurt my shoulder quite badly. But I'd realised I didn't go to sleep till about 5 in the morning that day. And somehow got up and I thought, I'm going to jump on the bike and we're going to go. So I think we'd done 85 miles that day. And on my way back, it was a really, really hot day. And on my way back, I don't know, slight lapse of concentration and bang, straight over a little brick or something, flew off my bike.
Okay.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, it was okay. It could have been a lot serious, but it was all right. But yeah, I think, and I know I put it down to me not having enough sleep that day, and I was really getting tired. And it was hot that day as well. So imagine over there, I'm now going to be embarking on a 100-mile journey.
And now that's played in your back of your mind as well.
And that's played in my mind, yeah.
Well, talking about preparation, so I had Sol down as, I just remember when he said the World Cup final, I thought I got Sol down as the Andrea Pirlo effect. So I remember Andrea Pirlo saying before 2004 World Cup, his preparations for that World Cup final is that I played PlayStation.
2006.
Yeah, 2006. I played PlayStation, and 4 hours later I was world champion.
Okay,
So I've got a soul down on that kind of thing as well. But again, just going back to what Mizan said as well, that's a good one. So he had a restless night. You think if you have a restless night, Abdullah one might say, okay, I'm gonna go outside, get some fresh air. I'll walk to the end of the street and I'll come back and I'll go sleep. So he went on an 85-mile cycle round. Just says it. So going back to you now, can you please talk us through day one?
Day one. So obviously, I mean, obviously what Miz has said, I'll echo that. None of us slept. So, you know, it's partly nervousness, but I think excitement as well. I mean, for me, I think we were in our room and just chatting away, and and we were all saying, geez, it's 2 a.m, let's go down, get ready. Put the lights on, everybody put the tops on. There was a big excitement because we packed our bags, everything gone. All downstairs, kitted out, ready for the photo shots. And that's telling us that we're now, what is it, half an hour, 40 minutes away to start the journey. And the journey, I think, about 3 o'clock. For me, I had a little bit of issue. So the night before we packed up, we fixed our bike up basically from the bike box, and we all had to do our training round.
He wasn't on the doner kebabs, was he? The night before? He wasn't, was he? Please.
Yeah, we had to go on a ride.
Or that stays on the.
Yeah, might as well. And I actually fell off the bike on the drain, and because legs was tied up, so we fell with the bike, whole thing. So I was the only one, I think, that fell on that day. So I didn't see anything of my bike. My bike was fine. So on the day that we started at 2 a.m, you know, got our bikes upstairs, you know, we were going up the, aside the hotel, just above the Haram, and it's a downhill. And I think there's a lot of media photo shots going on. I'm not even looking at my bike, and I'm going through, and I'm thinking, yeah, we're getting on. And I can see everybody going. And suddenly one of the waiters, the hotel waiter, goes, brother, your tyres. I'm like, what's wrong with my tyres? And it was flat.
Oh.
So obviously I had a puncture in between coming up from downstairs car park here. So that was a very nervousness because some people have already started.
So
and now I'm right. How am I going to do this now?
Yeah.
So I've asked the thing here, but you know, I was told there's no time because we have to go. So I was thinking, oh no, they're going to put me on the van or something because the next stop is 30 miles.
Yeah.
And it was true.
Yeah.
They said to me, there's no time. But you know what? 2 brothers came up and said, don't worry. And it was like, he goes, go and get your inner tube from the van. And don't worry, they're going to go. Ruhel and the other brother, the one is Ruhel as well, isn't he?
Both the Ruhel.
Yeah. Both Ruhel basically said,
sort it out.
So, no, go and get your inner tube. In that 5 minutes when I went to the car to get the inner tube, they've actually unpacked the bike and everything. They took everything out and they said, give it to me. And within 3 minutes, it was like Formula One change.
Brilliant.
And they put the bike together. And the group I was in, they haven't even left. They just left and they're down there. Yeah, they're downstairs because they were just waiting because the police stopped each sort of career. So Rail Bikes have told me that they're just down there, don't worry.
So on day one, the trip was approximately 550 kilometers in total.
Correct.
How many miles did you travel on that first day?
I think we did about 105 or 104 miles.
How hot was it on the day?
So that was one of the hottest days because I think Mecca is the hottest compared to Medina. So
Got it.
I think because we started at 2 a.m, it was purposely organized so that we missed the mid-heat. So I think we started around, like the temperature was around 20, 21, 22 degrees.
Approximately how many hours were you on the road on that first day?
First, we got to kayak from here, I think about 3 p.m, 2:30.
Is that 2 o'clock?
2:30. Some brothers got there 1:30, yes.
Sorry,
So we probably, me and you probably got around 2:30, right? Yeah. Something like that, yeah.
So on that first day, did you personally find the first day the most difficult?
Yeah, for me, it was because, as I think Sadiq mentioned, that that was my first 100 miles cycle because I've never, even the training, the maximum I did is 87 or 88 miles. I've never done 100 miles. And that day, obviously, we're used to a certain pattern in terms of eating and all that. And that day, as a group, we decided, because we were doing so well, to continue the journey, get to our end destination and enjoy the sights and have the food there. So lunch was supposed to be about 1 o'clock. But because we were so close to our end, we were well ahead of our schedule.
Got it. You just continued after
So as a
that.
group, we decided, right, it's no point spending another hour here, guys. Let's get there at 2 p.m. and have the food. And
So the steroids worked.
yeah, and I think obviously part of me, I was fine with it, but obviously that was hard because I think I'd done 85 miles and that 15 miles was uphill.
Okay.
And the windshield was also coming out, and it was coming to the sea. The sea, wind, has more breeze against you, and that I found it really, really tough. For me, that was kind of the lowest because I thought, this is it. I didn't have anything in me. My tank was empty completely. So I had to just take a quick break and had something like that 7 dates just to boost my energy.
Just to boost your energy.
Yeah, but even then, I found it really difficult because going uphill and the windshield really did drain me up. And I was thinking to myself, my God, this is first day one. I'm going to go. But alhamdulillah, the brothers really helped me out to get to the end. We finished, we got to the end.
So on day one, you guys traveled from Makkah to
Kayak.
Sadiq, talk us through day 2. Your best moments, highlights, lowlights, memorable moments, anything.
When day 2 we
You
had
traveled from Kayak to
Badr. Okay. So day 2 was an interesting day. We headed off a bit later than we did. Everyone got to Kayak the day before quite early, rested up. And I think we met up straight after Fajr about 6:30 in the morning, and we ended up leaving about 7:30. I had a similar issue. I had a bike issue. I just couldn't pedal, so I had to stop, wait for the mechanic to come and fix the bike, and alhamdulillah he managed to fix it and headed off. And then we done about 20 miles, and we were on the motorway, and then the police stopped us, saying we are not allowed to ride on the road, and there was a bit of an issue, and we ended up staying in that spot for about 8 hours in the desert on the side of the road. We couldn't go anywhere. We had our bikes, and obviously as the day was, I think it was about 8 a.m.
So why did you get stopped?
I mean, I'm not sure about the logistics, what exactly happened, but there was a bit of confusion, miscommunication, I suppose.
Administration error.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously, I'm sure, I know they go with the authorities to sign it off, but I think the police there were not happy with us riding on the road, and it was at a standstill. I think we were just waiting for some news, and we ended up having to sit in the heat on the side of the road. There's no toilets, there's nothing, there's no shade, and we were there for 8 hours just sitting there. And to be fair, in hindsight, I'll go back to say that was actually a very poignant moment in the trip, and it actually helped everyone come together. There was no moaning, no nothing. Everyone understood the situation, and everyone made the most of the situation. We all sat down. I don't know where this rug come from. Someone had a piece of rug in the car. They pulled that.
Put it out of their pocket. Yeah.
It was quite big. Everyone sat. Then they used the vans to try to create some shield and for some shade. And alhamdulillah, it was actually an amazing part of the trip. When I look back at it now, that was actually one of my favourite parts of the trip.
I think everyone says that.
Yeah, we all sat, and 40-odd people in 3-4 days, you're not going to get to know everyone, but when you've got nowhere else to go and nowhere else to turn, you're talking to people and you're getting to know each other, and alhamdulillah, it made everyone so much more stronger.
Adversity is the foundation of unity, isn't it?
It was.
So there's been people, me myself, I can become even in a big group, I can become very unsociable. Kind of stick with your own clique. This other, but sometimes you're forced to do it, and you think, actually, it's like that joke about today my internet connection went down. I had to actually go downstairs and talk to my family. They're really nice people. And I had to say, it's a bit like that, isn't it?
It was. And alhamdulillah, it was. We ended up, I think, having to do a big part of the ride during the night. And I've never done night riding, and I think some of the brothers that we ended up
because of the delay.
It's all like pushed everything back. We were supposed to go somewhere for breakfast, that got cancelled. We ended up having lunch after Maghrib.
Yeah, that got moved to Maghrib.
Yeah, Mastura, where we went there, done our Maghrib and Isha, we ate, and then we headed off from there. And it was quite daunting and scary. I've never done that. You're having trucks driving past you, pitch black, no road lights, not like London. And alhamdulillah, but the groups, the leaders, they really kept everyone in check and made sure everyone was okay. The way they had a sort of formula for everyone to ride. There was patterns, And we, alhamdulillah, got to Badr, I think, after midnight.
Midnight.
Wow, bang on midnight.
Yeah.
Straight after that, Abdullah, what was it? Obviously, the adrenaline would not allow you to knock off to sleep straight away. Again, it must have been quite a restless night for you guys.
No, everyone was so tired.
Okay, so
I think one of the things
that's a
was,
blessing.
again, the accommodation was slightly different, where we were more or less in a compound of some sort where there was big rooms and everyone was sleeping like your Mina style, where you get your mattress, your blankets, your pillows, 5, 6, 10, 15 people per room.
Some people share blankets.
Okay, I don't know about that. And everyone was like, had their own space, everyone went back and had their showers and so on and so forth, had something to eat, and then everyone was just doing their own thing or sitting down and talking in pairs and whatnot. Yeah, some people, well. But after after that, everyone, I think just everyone was so tired, because obviously you got your ride, you've got 8 hours waiting ride, is actually quite tiring. Everyone got knocked off by 2 o'clock. I think everyone was more or less gone, because everyone had to get up for Fajr at 5 o'clock anyway. So,
of course.
So we all had to kind of...
And can you summarise day 3, which is your final leg?
Yeah, day 3 was actually good. I think the good thing about day 3 was because of day 2, we had police escort front and back throughout the ride, which was very, very helpful, alhamdulillah. And actually, anyone was holding it up or anything, the police would stop them and tell them off. So it was quite good in that respect. Day 3 was a bit challenging for me personally. The first 40 miles, for some reason, I was struggling a bit until we got to that 40-mile point. It was, I think, a knock-on effect from lack of eating, and then the nutrition and everything was lacking on day 2 because of all the delays and so forth. Had a knock-on effect until we got to the break point. I was able to kind of really nourish myself, and we were all riding together, and everyone was doing really good pace because we had a police escort. We knew where we were going, and we just literally everyone knew the end point was Medina. And I think everyone was so excited now. We're coming to the end of our ride, but we're actually getting to Medina, and because that was the ultimate destination for everybody.
And the whole still 100 miles on that last day as well?
Yeah. So just under, I think it was 99 point something we did.
Got it.
Yeah, 100 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got to we were just running our groups, taking our breaks, and everything was going fine in that respect. And once we got to the border of checkpoint of Medina, it was just about Maghrib time, and I think everyone started getting a bit emotional, because this is your border of Medina. You're actually entering Medina. Maybe not, we're talking the province of Medina. And I think everyone started feeling it. Now it's like, we're here. We've more or less made it. And you could see in everyone's faces relief, but emotion, excitement, happiness, sad as well is coming to an end. It's just that all the emotions were just running at the same time. But alhamdulillah, it was good. It was good, and it was... That, what Sadiq said about that 8 hours where everyone got to know each other, we then got to, because of that, we got to know a lot of the brothers within our groups. So that last few 15, 20 miles, we were able to encourage each other more, because we knew each other a bit better. We were able to kind of just talk to each other, and whoever we're partnering up with, going 2 by 2, talking to them, just getting to know each other a bit more, and just enjoying the moment and just kind of taking it all in.
Can you please describe your emotions, feelings, whatever you like, on the entry to Medina? So the boys have spoken about the 3 days. Abdullah, what I just described is finished very aptly on you guys just about to enter Medina, which leaves this part nicely for you to summarize the thing. Just the entry into Medina now, that final leg on the 3rd day.
Yeah, it was really, really emotional. It was really, really emotional. I mean, me personally, when we were riding down, a lot of that was downhill, about the last 20 odd miles. And we'd prayed Maghrib and we've headed out again. I was just kind of reflecting on the whole thing for myself, this was my personal thing. I was kind of reflecting on it. Obviously, this Hijrah, the actual Hijrah journey, what our Prophet ﷺ done, 1446 years ago, and it was nothing like this. We're on £1,000 bikes, several £1,000 bikes. He's done it on camel and foot, and we've got all these gels and whatever else we've got that we're eating throughout the day, and the support vehicles. Whereas our Prophet ﷺ done it with his companions, however he got through. So, you got to kind of reflect, and you think about that journey as well. And I think another thing, a lot of the times I was thinking about was the donors for me, the people that had donated. Because obviously I kind of vouched that, look, I'm going to complete this. So of course the emotion comes in now, like, subhanallah, I'm about to complete this. So yeah, it was very, very emotional. There's no doubt you lot must have all shed tears on your bikes, entering into Medina, because I certainly did. And then when we got to Masjid al-Quba, from there we all cycled down together. So throughout the 3 days, there was 2 groups. We all kind of set off together, but just slightly different paced. But on that last part of it, which is in Masjid al-Quba, from there we all went down together.
Yeah.
That was, I gotta say, that
magical.
was wallahi, magical in the word, man. Honestly, it was like, honestly, I don't know what it was. It's like they kind of like I don't know how they worked it out, but they've always worked it out that we've all come from Makkah, because someone must have mentioned it. But while we're cycling, we're not cycling fast, by the way. We're cycling very, very slowly, almost like, about 3-4. It's a pedestrian road.
Yeah, just savouring that final.
We're just cycling through because it's people walking across.
Yeah, because I saw Sol's footage. It was very, very slow.
Okay,
just taking it all in.
That was throughout the whole ride. He was that last bit was like, it really was. I mean, it really was magical. That's the exact word. Yeah. It was magical because, these little children, they were running with us while we were cycling. Like, it's almost like we really got like a hero's welcome. Yeah. We got there, and man, I gotta say, man, when we got off the bikes and everyone just hugged and whatnot, I gotta say, everyone broke down. Yeah. I didn't see a single person that didn't get emotional, and that didn't, because it's such an achievement. It's such an achievement, and I think wow, like 300 miles, man, back to back in that heat. Yeah, subhanallah. It was, it was really, I mean, it was brilliant.
Everyone called home at the same time.
At the same time.
Just called in
Just calling home.
Group chats for the families.
And it was brilliant because, it was obviously a lot of this was Insta Live.
Yeah.
So loads of people were seeing, like, my wife was following it. So my kids were messaging through my wife's account, saying to give a shout out to, me and whatnot. And there was loads of little videos that they were doing, and the brothers they made small little videos for it, in the coming days after we'd returned. And it was really, really good just to even look back at that. So, and there's obviously going to be a movie that's going to come out, inshallah, in the summer.
Sure.
So
next year's Oscars. So, are we getting the bow tie and the tuxedo out? And
exactly.
Can you tell us? We're coming to the end of the show now as well. So I've got a few more questions for you guys as well. But the hospitality of the people, of the local people, I'm talking about, not the group, and throughout your journey, and obviously the reception there.
Yeah, I think because Saudi Arabia is not a cycle-friendly country. Yeah, they don't really see.
They're still picking these things up.
Yeah, and they don't see 40 cyclists going past. In a row really.
It's unusual.
Past, So when we were cycling, actually, there were a lot of people stopping
to watch,
to just watch us, and some were filming because they probably don't see these things, and it looked amazing. Obviously, I can imagine that, and some of our videos even showed that. Or we were cycling in a kind of one wrong row, all of us going past, and they would have stopped the cars and they were filming us.
You didn't do the Sparta V formation, did you? the battle. Okay.
No.
Okay.
And also, I think when we went to places like Medina or Makkah, when we do, people actually were, giving us really good lucks and telling us, especially in Medina, a lot of people were very interested. Where did they come from? They were even asking us. Yeah. We were waiting in the square near Quba Mosque, I think it was. Yeah. A lot of people were coming up and trying to take pictures and saying, "Where have you come from?" And obviously, it's international people from all over the world. Lots of people were quite inspired by what we've just done. Some people were even taking pictures. Yeah. And we met a lot of Bengalis, which was another thing because some of the brothers, in a hotel, they were quite, proud that all these Bengali brothers, from Bangladesh, came from London here, and they just cycled here wow, this is quite amazing. And I think the local Instagram accounts, TikTok, so people have actually caught up on this. So there's quite a big group that just cycled from Mecca to Medina. So it was a bit of a celebrity, I think, at that time. I think.
Nice, well deserved. And
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
is, the way you've got to look at it is, this is all inspirational.
Yeah.
Because we're on Earth for a very short space of time. People waste their time doing all manners of no good. The fact that you brothers went out there, did it, even if it takes one person taking a picture with you, you never know. That picture could be the inspiration. So somebody, for example, from Malaysia could have come on there, taken a picture with you. So innocent picture, you've seen it, but that's gone down the rounds in Malaysia. All of a sudden, then following year, you've got a whole group of cyclists. As a result of that moment of inspiration, you've got 100 cyclists coming in from Kuala Lumpur who are raising millions of pounds for charity. So we don't know where our good deeds end. Absolutely. Final questions. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to say, I think one of the things that made it real for me was actually the day before we started our ride in Makkah. I think it was Asr prayers. I think we were sitting there waiting for Asr to start, and there was a Palestinian family behind us, and they came from West Bank, and I think we had the fleece top on or something like that.
Yeah.
We were just sitting there, and then they just asked us what we're doing, and we said we're raising money for Gaza and so forth. And you can see it in their faces, and they came from West Bank, they know what's going on, they're going through similar difficulties and challenges as well. And you can see the appreciation in their faces that, they're like, you're cycling from Makkah to Medina and for this cause. They're trying to put it all together, but the appreciation in their faces, it just made it real that we're actually doing this for a cause.
Yeah.
And there's a bigger kind of purpose. Yeah. Yes, the ride is there. Yes, we're going to have a fun, we're going to have a laugh and going to do all of that stuff. But there's a bigger purpose here. And it actually, and as Mizan said right at the beginning, it might be a little drop in the ocean to what they need. But without that drop, it's our contribution in one way or another. And that's what it was. And seeing them and listening to them, we're trying to communicate with them. They could just about speak English, so we're just having that little communication. But you can see the appreciation. I mean, so was there as well.
They were taking pictures.
We took pictures with them and everything. It was really nice.
Would you do it again?
100%. I think now, I've actually put my name down. Probably won't get selected, but I would do it again. It ticks all the boxes, like they're saying about the raising the money, the awareness of the charities, and what the whole main purpose is. To get an invitation to go back to perform Umrah. So if I get the invite, alhamdulillah, I will go. And then the journey itself. I mean, some of the, I think it's not so important, but the third day when we were riding, the views and the scenic, the route that we were going through, alhamdulillah, is something that its word can't describe. So I will 100% do it again.
Your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is we've done something that is so amazing that not many people have been able to do. We've been to places in Saudi Arabia that majority of the people outside of Saudi Arabia have never been to, and we've cycled through it. We've raised a decent amount of money, alhamdulillah. We were able to perform Umrah. It's just one of those things that you could take with you for the rest of your life. And make new friends, make new people as well, and also old friends as well. Linking up with them and just getting that connection back as well.
Brilliant.
There's so much positives to come out of it. I don't think there's any negatives. I haven't got no negatives. I'd love to do it again, but I would love to do other stuff as well when it comes to cycling as well. So,
of course.
Yeah.
And talking about inspiration, Mizan, your thoughts on how you think the group would have inspired cyclists or even amateur pros throughout the world, young and old, male and female, as a result of your humble contributions during this Hijrah ride?
I think I'd like to think we've inspired people, because there are the level between the cyclists, between all 41 of us, it's massive. There's some of that are total novices that have just trained. There's some of that are kind of beginners, middle, and there's some of these brothers, they're just, they're lunatics, absolute lunatics, honestly. They eat, sleep, drink cycling. So I'd like to think that anyone watching this can actually resonate with someone from that group, I'd like to think from that point of view alone, that should probably inspire some people. And of course, that's just the cycling aspect of it. And because you got the Umrah aspect of it, you got the charity aspect of it. It's got a bit of everything, you know. It's almost like a bit of a lad's holiday as well. 41 brothers going. Yeah. You know, you're just having a lot. Yeah, it's great camaraderie. And yeah, I think in terms of inspiration, I'd like to think we've inspired a lot of people. Inshallah, when the film comes out, I think that will probably document it a bit better than, you know, what we've done.
No, don't put yourself down. You've done a wonderful job here, talking it through as well.
Yeah.
So last question for you. For somebody who's trying to emulate you now, people have seen your exploits. You know, it's the cause, you know, what you've done there. And obviously we're not allowed to be boastful, and we're not being boastful here, but we must take into consideration the fact that this has been hugely inspirational. And we do it for the reward aspects. We know that there's a lot of reward in what we're doing as well. And for us, it's the big L word, it's legacy. So somebody who wants to follow in your footsteps and the footsteps of the guys here and the whole team as a whole now, what advice would you have? So somebody watches you on LB24, the sports show, and thinks, I want to follow in his footsteps, I want to do what he does. What advice would you, maybe 3 pieces of advice that you would give them?
Well, I think any kind of, you know, challenge or any kind of, you know, trek that you want to do, you should always think about it. Obviously, for me, when I decided to do this one, I actually talked to a few brothers who have done it, and those brothers gave me some of the best advice you can ever do. If you train hard, there shouldn't be any reason why you can't complete.
Correct.
Yeah. Now look at the people as well that did this trek. I mean, Mizan mentioned the type of people there are. Also, you got to see there was a lot of big people, small people, skinny people, all shapes and sizes. Age gap from the age of 21 to 63.
Really?
The oldest. Yeah. 63.
How old are you?
So here is inspirational. You know, I'm too big. Yeah, I'm too skinny. I don't think I can do it. But here is inspirational. Some of these brothers were humongous.
Yeah.
But you know what?
They were.
Fantastic. Unbelievable. I mean, they were far better than me. You know, when some of these brothers were so big, you could never think that they're going to be on this cycle. So you can take inspirational from these kind of different type of riders who actually managed to complete a 3-day back-to-back cycling with these brothers. Also not a professional cyclist, if I understand. They barely cycle, and they've started doing this. So advice-wise, you know, I think you should definitely, if you think you can do it, you should definitely consider it, and look at your sort of, you know, yourself. It's a personal thing. For me, it's definitely personal. It's not about, oh, I want to do this, I want to do it. It's a personal objective that I want to achieve, and you know, everyone has their own agenda, what they want to do. But this journey that we've made is personally, I thought, you know, if I can do this, I'm not only to Allah, obviously, you know, to you know, himself, but also to myself, that I definitely can do this, achieve. So yeah, those are the things I could say, that, you know, if you look at it across the border, that, you know, anyone and everyone can do it if they put their two together. And if some of us who have never cycled can do it, I don't see any reason why others can't.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you give yourself at least 6-7 months, I think, to start the cycling.
To get yourself in shape. Yeah. Thank you very much. Alas, our time here has come to an end. This has been one of the most enjoyable sports shows in the many years that I've been anchoring the sports show here as well. I mean, the time has actually flown by. Spending time with the brothers here in the studio here today, I think what they've actually done is they've graced us with their presence here. I was very excited to have them on the show here today. And obviously during the blessed month of Ramadan, our timings are quite difficult getting everybody together, but I'm sure you'll agree after watching this video. And we've only just touched the tip of the iceberg here as well. There's so much more that, you know, I had to cut them short on a lot of things simply because we have got time constraints here as well. But if you're inspired by what you've seen from the group here today, Hope and Knowledge Cycle Club is what you're looking for on the socials. It's HKCC Cycle Club. Please do have a look. And if you want to emulate the outstanding feats of the guys here today, what they've done, I think what you would have taken away from the sports show today is that you don't have to be someone from the Tour de France circuit to participate on this. If you've got the interest, if you've got the drive, enthusiasm, the spirit and the motivation, there is no way that there is very little to stop you from actually participating on something like this. And again, this is a journey, I think most of the brothers here will agree, is that many put themselves forward for, but very few are chosen, simply because of the magnitude of this marvelous journey. The fact that you get to go to Makkah, that you circumambulate the Kaaba, you perform Umrah, and then you cycle from Makkah to Madinah as well. This is not an accident. People are actually chosen for this, because there are many people who will have good intentions of actually participating on a journey like this, but who will, for various reasons, not be able to make it as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the show just as much as me. As I've just mentioned as well, if you do like to become interested in the cycling activities of HKCC, please do search them out. If you've got any questions, do mention them to me directly through the socials, or you can always contact me. You know where I am. But once again, this is Mdad, the Wandering Londoner, and I'm your host for the Sports Show. Thank you for watching and joining us.